Sometimes I'm scrolling through eBay and I see stuff that's broken that just hurts my soul. This is a Disney Magical World Special Edition 3DS XL, and I paid $92 for the privilege of trying to bring it back to life. The seller said that it's never worked while it's been in their possession, so who knows what's wrong with this one, but it looks like all the parts are there, so we might have a chance at fixing it, and we might even have a little bit of a chance of making money on it since they sell for $180 to $220. Since it's all in parts and pieces, we need to put it back together enough to test it, then we can try and diagnose what's wrong and make the repair. This video is sponsored by Cometeer Coffee, more on them in a minute. What we need to do though is put this together just enough to test. So in order to do that, I'm going to use this piece right here because we've got the bottom screen already connected. So then I just need to attach the top screen and the camera ribbon cable. Then we can try and power it on and see what happens. Also, I want to look at the bottom of this board because if you notice, the liquid damage indicator right here has been set off. So it does have liquid damage. And then you can see over here, this is an indication of liquid being on the board there. Other than that though, I don't see any indication that there's actually been really any liquid damage on the board. So other than that, this thing looks to be in excellent condition. So the camera ribbon cable, I believe, is the one that goes under here. So let's connect this first. There we go. Now that that's on, then we can reconnect these other ribbon cables and kind of lay the board back down onto the bottom case. And then we just need to connect these next two ribbon cables for the top screen and the speakers. We need to do all this without tearing the cables. I mean, they might have tears in them anyway. That's one of the things that happens with these, but I'd like to avoid that. And I think I already put this thing together wrong. I think this ribbon cable must go under there. It's been quite a while since I've really worked on one of these, so apparently I've forgotten more than I thought I'd forgotten. This does not bode well for the rest of the repair, but hopefully we'll be okay. Okay, then the camera ribbon cable can go in here. There we go, that's how it's supposed to fit in. Okay, and then we need to get this speaker ribbon cable on here. Okay, there we go. All of those are now in where they need to be. Now we need a battery, and then we need to be able to try to power it on. This should be interesting. Let's try and power it on. Cometeer coffee is flash frozen to lock in freshness. It's a completely new format of coffee, and most importantly, it's delicious. Cometeer Coffee offers monthly shipments delivered right to your door. It comes in customized boxes to your roast preference, so whether you're a light coffee person or a dark coffee person, it's customized to your taste. If you like trying different roasts, there are new roasts every month. One of my favorite things about Cometeer Coffee is you can try different kind of drinks with minimal equipment. Now I like using Cometeer Coffee to make iced coffee. I usually put in about 6 to 8 ice cubes, add about 8 ounces of cold water. Then I add the melted coffee from the capsule. Then I add my creamer, give it a little stir, and it's done. Now the iced coffee I made today is called Belle with notes of blackberry, chocolate, and brandy. I've never actually tried brandy, so I don't know what that part tastes like, but smells amazing. Oh yeah, I can definitely taste the chocolate in that. That is so good. For a limited time, you can get $40 off your first 2 orders of Cometeer Coffee when you use my code TronicsFX40 at Cometeer.com. If you've been wanting to try Cometeer, now is the time. Let's try and power it on. We get a blue light. And a pop and it turns off. So that's usually one of these ribbon cables. So let's take a look at the cables a little bit more closely. And let's first take a look at the camera ribbon cable. We're looking for any tears down around where it goes through the hinge. That's usually where these things tear. And I don't see anything worrisome so far. We've got a little something down here. Right there, let's look at that on the other side. Okay, so this is not a big enough to tear to cause any problems because it's just along the edge right here, just the edge of this cable. So that's not an issue. I don't see any tears in this so far that would cause any sort of a problem. Let's check out the pads. A lot of times with liquid damage, you'll get these pads corroding. but I don't see any issues with any of these pads. So let's move on and look at the other two ribbon cables. Here we have the top screen ribbon cable. Again, I don't see any issues with tears or anything like that. Let's look at the pads on this one. And again, I see no issues with the pads. And looking up the rest of this ribbon cable, I don't see anything at all that would cause any problems on that one. Let's take a look at the speaker ribbon cable next. And again, no tears. And the pads on this also look good. So I don't see any issues at all with the cables. Let's take a little closer look at this board. And I definitely see a issue. So it's really hard to tell for sure, but I think what's going on is we have a faulty connection right here to this pad. Now, before I do this repair, I want to verify that this pin is not connecting the board right here. So what I'm going to do is this first pin right here, I have one of my probes over here on the pin, and then I'm going to touch this pad on the board and it should beep. That tells me that there is a connection there. So if I put this probe on the next pin and I touch the pad, there's no connection. And let's check the next one. There is a connection. So as you can see, all of these have a connection except for this one. So I think when we resolder this connection, that is going to restore this connection and probably make it so this Nintendo 3DX XL will actually start up. And now with that resoldered, let's verify the status of this connection. And there we go. Now with that fixed, let's get it back together enough to see if the screens come on. And then once we get more pieces in, then we can test it more and see if there's any other problems. With any sort of liquid damaged console like this, you never know for sure if you got everything fixed. Luckily, this one seems to have very little damage, so I have high hopes. Let's see if it'll start up with this ribbon cable connector fixed. Okay, I think I have everything hooked up how it needs to be. Let's try and power it on. Blue light. Come on. Doesn't power off so far, but we also don't get anything on the screens. I am not sure what that means, but the good news is that it is staying powered on. So it looks like we got a little more work to do. I totally forgot about the Wi-Fi card. With the Wi-Fi card installed, you can see that both screens work, but I have to get this thing put back together correctly or else I'm gonna tear one of these ribbon cables and make this job a lot harder. There's still a lot of things we need to test, so let's get it back together so we can test it. So now for the most fun part of this whole job, we've got to get all these ribbon cables installed correctly and put through this hinge. This is definitely the most difficult part. Now we need to twist these all up together like this, and hopefully we don't tear them. This is why I do these repairs as little as possible. So I'm also going to lift this entire screen up so we can kind of get it out of the way. Actually, now that I think about it, we need this green cable to go through the middle of those, so I got to redo all of that. Now we need to just keep rolling them up like that. Now it's getting closer to going through. Okay, there we go. We got it started. Carefully grab these cables. Come on. So I think we have all of them except for the speaker ribbon cable going through pretty well. Okay, I think we just got that one now. So we're gonna pull those through. Okay, got that one through. Now let's take our screen, slowly push it through. That makes sure that we've got room for the cable to go through. I am pulling with my tweezers, but I'm pulling very, very carefully. So we just need this one more ribbon cable to pull through the rest of the way. And there we go. Whew, okay. Now with these through the hinge, we can reseat the screen, making sure that everything is channeled correctly, especially that Wi-Fi cable down there. And it is. Okay, and I think this top screen portion is done. Now we can install it onto this bottom piece. Whew. All right, and I believe we go with the Wi-Fi cable through first. Then each of these ribbon cables, we can fit through this little slot in the case right there. So kind of go in sideways. I don't actually recommend doing it with the pointy tool that I'm using. For some reason, that's just how I've learned and what works for me, but it's not ideal. And we're getting closer. Okay, we can pull those through and the hinge pin should slide right in just like that. Okay, so that looks good. We've got our cables coming through right there. That all looks great. Now to install the hinge pin, another thing I don't remember how to do. So this just goes in here. I believe we push it all the way in and then install it down on here. And then we got to push it back through in order to install this top cover here. And I need to remember to make sure this piece goes in. You guys better not let me forget that. If I remember right, I have to like open this up part way, and then when it's just right, I can push it through here. I don't remember where that is though. Oh, I guess that's it. Except for this has to go on first. Goes in right there. There we go. Now the pin goes through. There we go. Now with that on, we can put on the back cover. Let's put this on first so we don't forget. Okay, now with that all on, and it looks like all the pieces on here are installed how they should be. Just gonna give these lenses a little bit of a cleaning. Then we're gonna put this back on here. Okay, and slide it backward. And there we go. So this is nice and closed. There's no gap there. So we're all good there. Now let's see if this hinge works how it should. And it does. And this also works how it should. Goes off and on. Okay, and now we need to put the screws in here. Okay, we don't have these little covers right here. I think I might have some more somewhere, but we do need to install those. Nothing says DIY repair like having these things missing. I see that all the time. Now we need to start assembling this bottom case. And now we're ready for buttons. And we need to make sure that this cable is routed correctly. There's kind of little marks where it was routed before. I'm just kind of putting it right back where it was before. Now here we go with the first ribbon cable. Now we can fold the board down, being careful not to tear that ribbon cable. Also get all these other cables out of the way. Now I can flip it around and attach the other two ribbon cables. And then the speaker ribbon cable. Okay, now we have those ribbon cables installed correctly. Let's get the rest of these ones done before I forget to do them and then wonder why it won't turn on. And now the Wi-Fi card. And now we can install the analog stick. I like to attach the ribbon cable first. There we go. Then flip it up on its edge like this. This way I can make sure that the slot on this part of the assembly lines up with the slot on this part of the assembly. And I can open it just a little bit and just test and make sure it moves freely, and it does. Okay, are we ready for the bottom cover? I think we actually are. I'm actually going to remove this liquid damage indicator because we have repaired it. I don't want someone thinking that they have something that's been liquid damaged when, at least as far as I know, it's been fully fixed. We do need to test it still. And I mean, after all this, we need to make sure it still turns on. Who knows? I could have done something wrong in there. And we have one more thing we need to install, and that is these little square screw covers. So I have good news and bad news. The good news is that I found screw covers for this. The bad news is that if you have OCD, you're gonna hate me because I only found 3 of them. So this screw cover is just not gonna have one until I do find one eventually. I probably have another white one of these around somewhere that is just junk that I can steal parts off of, but for now, this is the best we got. And after all of that work, is it gonna start up? Let's find out. We got a blue light. Come on, show us some screens. Oh yeah. That works. Does the touchscreen work? Yes, it does. Let's see if it will play a game. Yep. And even the cameras work. If you like this type of video, you'll probably like the video where I bought a Zelda 3DS from eBay. That was also broken and I tried to fix that one. So I'll leave a link up on your screen now so you can come hang out with me over there and see if I could fix it. If you want to try Cometeer Coffee, I'll leave my link right in the description so you can go check it out. Thank you so much for watching today and I hope you have a good one.